Hi guys, welcome to my video on how to set up your Photoshop file so it's most optimal to the way that I run my graphic arts class. Alright, so hopefully you guys were able to download Adobe Creative Cloud. It's going to look like a desktop shortcut icon, kind of like this. If you don't have a shortcut icon, you can always go to the bottom or wherever your search is and just search in Adobe Creative Cloud. Right click on it, open file location. You'll see that's already highlighted. Right click on it, and then create shortcut, and it'll create a shortcut onto your desktop. Something that I like to do personally is I like to right click on the icon, and then I like to pin to taskbar. And what that's going to do is it's always going to have it on your taskbar at the bottom. So as you can see, these are the really common apps that I always like to use, and some apps that are already open. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Adobe Creative Cloud. Once you have Creative Cloud, there's going to be a bunch of different apps that you can also download. One of the apps that I want you to download is Photoshop. So instead of saying open, it should say download. Click the download button, and then once you have it downloaded, this will turn into open. So your Photoshop document should end up looking something kind of like this. If you've used Photoshop before, you'll see all the bunch of different things that you've done on Photoshop in the past. So as you can see, some of these are my projects that I've done. We are going to create a completely new document. So we're going to go to File, New. And then on the right side of this new window that pops up, this is going to be the way that you're going to be able to completely edit the way your document looks. So if you want, you can go ahead and name your document. I'm going to call this example. We're going to work with inches, and we are going to work with the standard letter size. So that's the size of paper that you normally see in school. So that's 8.5 by 11. Orientation really doesn't matter at this point because I'll show you guys how to rotate your whole canvas when we actually create this document. We're going to go 300 pixels per inch, so make sure you're per inch. We're going to do RGB color, and then we're going to do 16-bit. If you guys are working with slower computers at home, it might be beneficial to switch over to 8-bit. Basically what that means is it's just giving you less colors to work with on your color palette. And you'll see our color palette for Photoshop is pretty big. You can work with a lot of different colors. There are advanced options as well. Just do don't color manage and then do square pixels as well, because that'll just make it easy for you. So once you guys have all of the settings kind of like mine, we're going to click create. Alright, so we get to a document kind of like this. It should end up being a blank document. The first thing that I want you guys to do is turn on your rule of thirds. So we're going to go to view, we're going to go to show, and then we're going to turn on grid. Now as you can see, my grid is crazy. There's a bunch of different boxes on here. We don't need that many. We're working with the rule of thirds, right? So we want to turn this into a 3x3 grid. So I'm going to go to edit, I'm going to go to preference all the way at the bottom, and then I'm going to go to guides, grid, and slices. Click that guy. Now underneath grid, we're going to turn inches to percent, and we're going to turn it to 100%. And then finally subdivisions 3. Now if you guys look on my document here, it's turned to a 3x3 grid. You can even change the color of the grid if you want. So I can turn it to black and make it a little bit more noticeable. I mean, you can go with yellow to make it not noticeable at all. I like to work with light blue because it's not too bright, but also still, easy to work with. And if you wanted to, you can even turn it into dots or dashes. Alright, so now that we have my 3x3 grid on here, I'm going to draw in a bunch of rectangles. So I'm just going to use these rectangles as examples and elements that we are going to work with. So let's pretend that within these boxes there's text and images, etc. With the move button at the top here, I am going to move my rectangles around. And as you can see, they move around decently smooth. I want to turn it on so that it snaps to items. So if I imagine looking on the left side here, I'm trying to align these two rectangles. And as you can see, it's proving difficult. I can get to a certain spot where that purple line turns on. So to make it easier, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to view, and I'm going to turn snap on. Now when I move my item around, as you can see, a lot more purple lines appear, and I can align a lot of different things. And if I want to align this left side, bang, it just automatically snaps to that alignment for me, making it nice and easy for me. Ooh, let's realign that. Nice. So these grids are important because the guides are something that allows you to set up your elements in a certain way that makes it look aesthetically pleasing. Don't worry about these appearing on your sheet when we print this out. These guides are technically invisible. So that means when they print out on paper, you won't see them. They're only simply for us to see on our screens and guide us. So I'm going to move all these rectangles in a way where they work with each other. And the nice thing about Snap is if I move it in a certain way, you can see that those purple boxes appear that say 0.247 inches. That means all my boxes are evenly spaced apart from each other. So now that all the left side is aligned and they're all evenly apart, distance wise, now I have a whole lot more unity compared to something with just random rectangles in different spots. So turning on Snap and turning on your guides will be very easy and beneficial. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line these up all in the middle of this middle column of my grid. Alright, and now having 4 rectangles all aligned with each other, all in the middle of this grid, I have created unity and balance. So, setting up your Snap, setting up your guides, that's going to be the first thing that you're going to do. One window that we work with quite a bit in Photoshop is layers. So as you can see in layers, I have all my rectangles here. I have rectangle 1, rectangle 2, all the way to 4. Something that's important is the little eye icon beside each layer. So what that does is just makes your layer invisible. It doesn't delete it. It just makes it easier for you to work with something specific. So for instance, let's say I want to work with this middle rectangle 1. I'm going to turn rectangle 2 invisible so that I'm only working with rectangle 1. So I'm going to select this layer. Now that layer is highlighted. Now I'm only working with this guy. Alright, I can make the other guys invisible and make it easier for me to edit this guy, especially considering if I have elements that are all over the place and maybe they overlap each other, so sort of like this, and I want to work with a specific part of the grid here, right, and they're intersecting and it's kind of making it difficult for me to work with it. Well, I'm going to make one layer invisible so that I'm only working on rectangle 2 or rectangle 1 possibly. Alright, we also have the color palette here. So if you take a look at the color palette, there's a bunch of different colors that we can work with. So I'm just going to scroll through all the different colors. It is pretty expansive in the sense that we can make our image whatever color we want. And again, if your Photoshop is starting to run a little slow, try turning it to 8-bit to make it easier to run. Alright, oh crap. I just closed down this window. I just closed down that window. I just dragged this character window away and oh crap, I just closed it. Oh poop. Alright, if you ever lose a window, all you have to do is go to the window tab at the top here and then turn that window layer back on, or turn that window back on. So I lost my layer window, it reappears. I lost my color window, I'm going to turn my color window back on. I think I also lost character, so I'm going to turn character back on. So now I have all these windows back. So if you close a window, it's never permanent. You can always bring that window back up, you guys. Now, I can't really see any of my document. It's kind of difficult. So what I like to do is I like to combine all my windows into one square. So if you click and drag your window until it turns into that blue box, then you're combining all your windows into one area. And then what I like to do is I like to just work through each tab. Easy like that. Alright, I'm going to go back to my layers window and I'm going to turn all my rectangles back on so that you can see what I mean, how working with invisible layers is very beneficial, because as you can see I have a bunch of elements that are intersecting each other. If I want to edit this guy specifically, let's turn the rest of the layers invisible so that I'm only working with this layer, making it easy for myself. However, if you do want to delete a layer, so for instance rectangle 2, this guy right here, it's looking ugly, I don't even want that guy, you can simply click and drag this layer to the trash can to delete it. Alright, and the final thing that I want to show you guys here is that the rotation of your canvas is possible. So as you can see, all my rectangles here are kind of landscape style. If I go to image and then I go to image rotation and then 90 degrees clockwise, it turns my whole canvas 90 degrees clockwise, but also my rectangles. So you have to be very aware of how you set up your page. If you end up setting it up in a way where all your elements are looking nice, but then you're like, oh crap, I want to go to landscape style. Well, you can, but you're also going to turn all the other elements landscape as well. Alright, that's how we're going to set up our Photoshop pages to make it easy for us to work in my class. I'm going to show you guys the difference between saving your files. So if you go to save, I'm going to save on my computer. And then I'm going to go to desktop just to make it easy for you guys to see it. I currently have it saved as example.psd. That's a Photoshop file. So I'm going to go ahead and save this guy. And when I go to my desktop, I have my example Photoshop file there. Now when I open it up, I'm going to open up my Photoshop file to all these different layers. I can work with each individual element if I want to. Alright, this file is big. It takes up a lot of space, but it's necessary because we have all these layers that we got to work with. You can also go to Save As. Hold on a second. I'm going to turn my other layer back on. If I go to File, Save As, and then I save it as a JPEG, now what's going to happen is it's going to compress all my layers into one layer. And if I minimize and show my JPEG, now it's just a picture. Now if I open up this picture, I can't work with the individual rectangles. As you can see, I'm trying to drag them away. I can't do that because it's all one picture now. Even if I click this and I go open with Photoshop, well, I'd have to choose the actual Photoshop file, which I can. I'm not going to go through that whole process. But even if I opened it up onto Photoshop, that picture would be all on one layer. So make sure you guys are saving your files as a Photoshop file .psd so that in case you need to edit it, you still have all these files. But when you submit your work, submit it as a JPEG because I don't want to open up a Photoshop file of yours because it's got to be a lot of data that I have to open up. Alright guys, that's how you set up your Photoshop file so that it's easy to work in my class. Good luck.